When you saw this Japanese earthquake, I mean, this is massive. I don't know if people understand how massive this is. If this had hit Los Angeles, for example, this 8.9, what you call it, a crust? What did you call it?
This is called a subduction zone earthquake, where two tectonic plates are literally pushing against each other, and then the pressure gets so great that they literally rip each other apart and then rip the seafloor apart, and that's what causes the tsunami.
So if this were in Los Angeles or San Francisco, that would have leveled most of the city, right?
Well, I've got an even more frightening scenario for you. We have the same type of earthquake fault sitting off the Oregon and Washington coast, and the chances of us getting an earthquake just like Japan has had are pretty frightening. And we would be looking at probably much more damage than they've seen in Japan.
But Portland's I used to live in Portland, inland, and a tsunami wouldn't hit Portland. Seattle, on the Puget Sound, again, you're not on the ocean. It's the water destruction, if something like that happens in the Pacific Northwest, would be massive in Cannon Beach and the coastal cities, but I think the bigger cities are protected.
Well, actually, this type of earthquake reaches millions of square miles, and we'll probably be looking at an area of 80,000 square miles that will see damage and destruction. So Portland and Seattle will not be spared from an event like this. It's going to be a devastating event. It's going to affect 13 million people in the Pacific Northwest. You compare that to, say, Katrina and what happened in the Gulf Coast in 2005, and you're talking about 5 times more people affected by this earthquake than were affected by Katrina.
Now, you say the odds of it happening are frightening. Can you zero in on that a little bit?
Sure. We know that these great earthquakes off the coast of the Pacific Northwest happen every, say, 250 to 400 to 500 years. It's been 311 years since the last great subduction zone earthquake. It happened in 1700, and it was a magnitude 9 earthquake, about the same size that hit Japan. We know we're within the window here in the Pacific Northwest to get one of these earthquakes pretty much at any time. I manage a tsunami outreach and education program at the Oregon coast, and we are working desperately to get folks, educated and understanding that you got to be prepared.
Yeah, you got to get out when they tell you to get out. That's for sure. Very fascinating, Mr. Roddy. Thanks very much. We appreciate it.